Hi, everyone, and welcome to another recording. This one's not a poem. This one is a testimony from a friend of mine, Ida Trujillo, and she has an interesting story to tell you about how you think life is throwing you rotten tomatoes, and later on, after you've gone through this valley and you finally get up on the top of the mountain and you look back and you see God's hand in everything that happened, okay? And yes, she had to go through some valleys. And with that, I'm going to let Ida take over, and she's going to tell you her story. So, Ida, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, I was talking to Gail at one time about how we ended up where we're at now. My husband and I raised 9 kids. He had 4, I had 2, and then we had 3 together. So a total of 9 kids. The 9 kids, and I and my husband were living in a 2-bedroom actually at the time, and I decided to rent a bigger house. After 11 years, him and I decided we're going to go ahead and start trying to see if we could get a house of our own. We ended up getting a house in Alameda because that's where I always wanted to live. And the house itself was a fixer-upper, and it was a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, and it was 3,400 square feet. It had a 9-car garage on it, 2 attached, 2 detached, and that's what we needed because my husband was a paint and body guy. And so when we ended up at the house, and I went and I looked at it, and about probably 3 weeks after I looked at it, I took my husband over, and he really liked it. But he goes, "Oh, this is really nice," but he didn't think we were going to get it. But I told him, "I'm glad you like it because we're going to go ahead and we're going to close on it tomorrow." And he goes, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're closing on this tomorrow, so be available so we can sign the paperwork." And he was so excited. And I told him it's a fixer-upper. I had a lot to do with it. And by the time we moved in, I guess it took me about almost close to 2 years to just do all the work because I was doing mainly all the work myself. And I did the flooring, I did the, walls, everything that needed to be done. Then I started putting in appliances and stuff, but it took a little while. My kids were so patient with me because my mom would stay with my kids, and what I would do after work, I would go over and work on it till like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Then I'll go home and then go back to work in the morning. So it was, it took a while to get there.
Labor of love.
Yes, and I loved it because the house was perfect for us. And well, anyways, getting into the house, and we were there. I did a lot of work to it, and we really enjoyed it. The kids loved the house because they had so much room to run around. We were on a half acre. It was enclosed. They really, really loved it. And so after everything was said and done, and we were there for a while, it got closer and closer to at that time it was already like 2014. And we were having a little bit of issues with our insurance company at the time. And then the crash hit, that hit everybody, most of the people in America. We were part of that because our note kept on getting sold out. And when it was getting sold out, they kept on increasing it. Plus, the insurance was getting increased at the same time. And I had separate insurance, but it was also included in the mortgage. So I kept on trying to adjust my mortgage, and they would call it a modification. So I did all the modification and everything, and then when it came down to it, I had a few documents that I didn't send in, and when I didn't do that, they ended up foreclosing. Well, they were going to foreclose, and I didn't allow that because I didn't want it to stay on our record. So I called them and I told them I was going to relinquish the home. And so once I let it go, I told them, "Give me 5 months and I'll be out of here." So I left the home, unfortunately. But at that point, I went back to a rental unit, and we were there. But the kids, all of the kids didn't live with us. Of course, they had their mom, and they would go and stay with their mom for part of the week and then come with us part of the week. But we still needed the room. And I kept praying. I kept on asking God, "Please, help me to get another home." So I went to a friend, and they loaned me a note. They gave me a note anyway that was good for, a good amount. And then once I would go to the bank, I would be able to get a home. And anyways, they ended up every house that I went to, I went and I bid it on 3 houses, and the 3 houses that I bid, every single one would fall through, either because of the paperwork, or because they got my name wrong, or because there wasn't no title on the home. And the last one didn't have a title. And I remember going to the title company and I told them, well, this doesn't have a, I went to the realtor. I go, this doesn't have a title loan on it, a title document. He goes, oh, no, no, no. He goes, well, if you know everything about that, he goes, why don't you go and do the legwork after you buy the home? And I go, no. I go, that's why we hired you. Well, anyways, that fell through. I said, nope, I don't want it if it doesn't have a title on it. So then when it fell through, I was so determined to get a home. And they ended up telling me, well, you still have that note at the bank. You could still get one. And, God's plans was completely different. He had already been working in our lives for everything, our home that we got in Alameda and all through our lives and with the children. But once it fell through and we ended up renting, and I kept on asking God, please show me what I'm supposed to be doing here because I need your guidance. Mm-hmm. And so unfortunately, this bittersweet, my brother passed away and he had a home. But I remember when I was like probably in my 20s, I would always picture myself in his home. And I would always think, why do I have that dream? I don't understand that. Sorry. But when it came down to it, my brother passed, and he had a beautiful home in the South Valley. And I remember it was not a surprise, but it was something unexpected that he passed. He wasn't sick that we knew, but when he passed abruptly. And after everything was said and done, about a month and a half later, after he passed, my mom said, "You know what? We're getting all the siblings together. I had 7 brothers. No, I had 5 brothers and 1 sister. So we had 7 kids, including myself. So I have my sister and 5 brothers, and Pat was the one that passed, and he was my eldest brother. Well, my mom said, you know what? I'm getting all the siblings together. So we got all together at her house, and it wasn't no spouses or anything. It was just us kids and my mom. And my mom said, she says, we're gonna go over his estate and we're gonna see who gets what. And I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't want anything because it was him. Well, anyways, my mom says she started off with the car, the van, and different other things that he had, and she started kind of distributed around the family. And then after everything was said and done, she says, she goes, all of you have your own house already. They're all paid for. And she went around the table saying, look, you have your house, you have your house. And she went around everybody. And then when she came back to me, she goes, you don't have a house. She goes, here's the keys. She goes, it's your house. She goes, and I looked at her and I go, Mom, I don't deserve it. She goes, Mom, yes, you do. She goes, you worked hard all your life and God bless you with this house. And I was like, I was so amazed. And it was kind of, it is bittersweet. I loved it. I couldn't move in. That was in October. And I didn't move in till July. And I would go every night over there to go make supper. I would take my kids. I would take my husband, of course, and we would eat. And I would clean everything down and just put everything away. And then we would leave back to the rental unit. And once I was at the rental unit, I was, I know I need to go in there. But every time that I would go to my home, I always felt like I was erasing my brother. And I didn't want to erase him because the more I would clean, I was like, he touched this. And I go, that's kind of ridiculous. I just let it go. And I couldn't let it go. I kept thinking, I need to let it go because I have a home. Well, I did this. Unfortunately, I did it for like 6 months. And the person I was paying rent to, he tells me, why are you paying rent when you have your own home? And I'm like, I don't know. I just can't do this. And so finally I went over to the house, and my brother had passed away there at home. And so I laid down on the bed where he had passed. And of course, I had changed the mattress and everything, but I was laying in his bed and I was kind of like looking around and I kept thinking, he probably saw this last. He did this and he did that. And I was just crying. That's when I really just let it all out and I cried. And I said, you know what, Lord? I know you did this for a reason and a purpose. I know it because I trust you with all my heart. And I stood looking up, and then he says, and God spoke to my heart. He just said, you know what? It's time. Let it go. This is your home. Walk in and be comfortable. And I was so like, I let it go right there, and I knew God was in total control. And He always is in control, but it took my pea brain to realize that time it is. It is. It's you, Lord. It's you. And so, anyways, making light of it, my husband, him and I, when we got together, we were together for a while, and God kept convicting us because we weren't married, and we had a little girl already. And Dan kept on asking me to. He kept on asking me to get married to him, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to because of other issues, not because of him. But anyways, when we were finally together, he kept on telling me, "We're gonna get a house, but we'll get it in the South Valley."
When you finally got married.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we got married and everything, he says, "You know what?" He goes, "We're gonna buy a house and we're gonna go to the South Valley." And I go, "South Valley?" I go, "I'm not from the South Valley." I go, "I'm never gonna go to the South Valley." I'm telling you now. I told him, I go, "Once we get married, we're going to live in the North Valley. But if you want somebody to live with you in the South Valley, you better leave me now." I go, "Because I'm not going." There's no way, I tell him. So then he says, "Okay, Ida, wherever you want to go." So we bought the house in the one that I ended up losing was in the North Valley, and we were there for 15 years. And then after everything was said and done, my brother's house was in the South Valley. And so we were there, and it took over the shock and everything. And after we were there for a little while, we were talking, and I remember we were eating on the dining table, we were in the dining room. And once we're like looking at each other, and we're like, wow, we don't have a mortgage, we don't have anything coming from paying $2,600 a month plus utilities, plus taking care of 9 kids, all of that. Just it was a lot. And I think when our overhead in his business was $10,000 a month, it just a lot of things were going on. And then finally, when we were sitting there at the dining room table, and we looked at each other, it's like, wow, this is only God. God did this, And He blessed us tremendously. And so when we're sitting there, and he starts laughing. My husband starts laughing. I go, "What's up?" And I go, "What are you laughing about?" And he goes, "Ida," he says, "you told me you weren't coming to the South Valley. Where are we in the South Valley?" He tells me, and I look to him, I go, "Okay, I know it's God." And my husband says this is the best place he's ever lived. He says that he is so blessed. He loves it. He's like in heaven there, he says. He goes, "This is my heaven on earth." He goes, and it's all God. And it's true. We enjoy it. We love it. We are so blessed. So my kids are all grown up now, and his kids are grown up, of course. We got together back in '92, so it's been a while. But oh my goodness, we are blessed. That's all I have to say.
and God never promised us. Well, He did. He promised us a rose garden, but rose gardens always have thorns.
Yes.
He never promised us that life was going to be one smooth ride. It's always going to be a roller coaster. We're going to have mountains. We're going to have valleys.
Yes.
But there's always that getting out of the valley.
Yes. And that's so true. And the thing is that I know that God had His hand on it, because He always says there's a time and a purpose for everything, and this is what happened in our lives. And I tell my husband all the time, His hand is there, time and a purpose for everything. And right now, him and I are retired, and we're happy. We are. Yeah. God really saw us through, and I have never been as content as I am right now.
And it makes it all the sweeter with everything you've gone through.
Yes.
That's what makes it sweeter.
Yes, it does. It's still a little bittersweet, but it is sweet.
Okay, well, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to Ida's story. I hope it resonates. I hope it gives you encouragement and comfort and strength. And if you like what you're listening to, If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, thanks a lot. And again, don't forget to hit those likes and the share button. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye.